Hello, welcome to this video. Before we get started, please read the disclaimer. Trading is risky. Please do your homework. This is not trading advice. Alright, let's get started. So, you've seen how you got into the initial position using the channel and using the breakouts of the 55 and the 20 day. Now, how do you add more positions? In order to add more positions, we need to look at the ATR, or the average true range. Now conceptually, you could think of the average true range as the size of how far the market moves in a given day. Again, this is just a conceptual idea. We're going to get into more specifics, but if you just imagine that, if you think, well, in an average day, the price moves this much. Let's just say that was the average true range. Then the average true range is kind of the average range of the day. Now, how it's actually constructed is using a few more calculations, which you can Google and find out how exactly it's made. It's not complicated, but we don't need to get into the details of how the average true range is constructed. Now, if you were to just take the range of any given day, well, you can see that some days have large ranges, some days have small ranges, and it wouldn't be very accurate to just randomly pick a day. So, of course, the term average means that you're going to take it across a number of days. So I use a 20-day average. I can't remember if it was specified what the average range that the turtles use. It's either a 14, which is I think a default number, or 20. I don't think it makes a huge difference. A lot of this stuff I find, whether you use a 55-day, a 56-day, a 60-day range, a lot of this stuff doesn't really make a huge difference. I think if you start trying to tweak everything, this is where you get into the idea of optimization, of really trying to get theoretically optimal settings which don't actually work in real life. And so my point is, if you decide to use a 15-day average true range versus a 20, it's not going to make that much difference. Like if we look right now, the average true range is 0.5629. If we change this to a 14-day, it is now 0.5389. So you can experiment and see whether there are truly optimal settings. I don't believe there are, and from what I've read, trying to play around with backtesting to curve fit an optimal solution is actually more detrimental than anything. So back to this, I use a 20-day, and the ATR formula can be calculated. Again, you can look that up to see how that's actually done. So we're going to use this number. This number is just going to, again, conceptually give us how big the daily range normally is. So how we're going to use that? Well, it comes into play in adding more positions. So when we add more positions, we remember that our initial position is going to be triggered when we have a breakout. So for the breakout itself, I just set an entry above the range. So again, I don't get very specific. I don't say like a certain number away. I just really just go above. And if I were entering this trade, I would just note the price. So if I wanted it here, 177.132, that's what I would set. I would set a stop order at 177 point, I think I said 532, and that's my breakout level. Now for each additional entry, so again we're going to use ATR to form additional entries, what we're going to do is set it a half ATR above the initial entry, at least for a long. So if we use this as an example of, let's just take 177.1 to keep it easy. So this is our initial entry price. Now we're going to add 3 more positions. Our second one we're going to add at a half ATR above the initial. So here is our initial. What's our ATR? So we can go back and we can read it right here. Our ATR is 0.5629. I'm reading it over here, 0.5629. So ATR equals 0.5629. So we want half of this, so we just divide this by 2. 0.5629 divided by 2 equals 0.2814. So with 0.2814 as our half ATR, we simply add that, again for a long, to this initial entry price to get our subsequent orders. So if we were to bring up the calculator, let's just put this into memory, 0.28145, okay, plus 177.10, that's going to give us 177.38. For the second, we add half to this, so plus the half gives us 177.66. And for the final, we take this price and add another half, plus 0.2814, 177.94. So you see from the initial entry, this is how you calculate the 3 additional positions using the ATR, which is the half ATR value. And that covers your entry. Next we'll go on to where to place your stops and how to move them.